Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is a crazy busy day for me. I'm actually recording this on Halloween and wearing this awesome cat shirt, but I wanted to make sure I got this video out in a timely manner because it has to do with Thanksgiving, and some of the things I mention here, you actually need to start a little before Thanksgiving. So with that being said, let's jump into this list of ways to make your Thanksgiving more budget friendly. A lot of these will kind of depend on your situation. So how many people are you cooking for? Are you looking more for convenience type stuff, or is this more of an actual Thanksgiving struggle meal where you are just bare bones? But whatever it happens to be, hopefully you will get something out of these tips. So the very first one is one of the things you will start early, and that is doing a pantry week before Thanksgiving. So particularly the week before Thanksgiving, but really just in the weeks leading up to it, the goal here is to spend less on your overall groceries leading up to Thanksgiving. So hopefully your spending for the month will actually kind of round out. So this is basically a kind of like a no-buy pantry challenge. Look at your pantry, see what you have, see what you can make. And if you are someone who struggles to come up with ideas based on what you have, a really awesome resource that I've been using is ChatGPT. So what you can do is enter some of the random ingredients you have into ChatGPT. So tell it, hey, I have diced tomatoes, flour, pasta, sugar, beans, like whatever weird ingredients you have on hand, and then just ask it what you can make with those ingredients. And it will give you some really awesome ideas. This is definitely one of my hacks for trying to clear out my pantry when I'm stumped on what to make. In addition to your pantry, you'll want to look at your fridge and your freezer. Don't forget that part, because for Thanksgiving, you will most likely have a lot of leftovers. So you need to make room in your fridge and your freezer. So now is the time to start eating some of those foods that you have that you've been storing for a later date. Some good ideas for clean out meals are things like casseroles, soups, omelets, pasta bowls or grain bowls where you have like pasta or rice or quinoa or something as your base, and then just random ingredients thrown into the bowl. Any of these things can really help you get rid of random ingredients that you have on hand. So now that your pantry and your fridge are more under control, now you need to take inventory of what you have to put towards your Thanksgiving meal. So look at what you already have. Don't go too excessive on the sides, but again, this is going to depend on how many people you're having for your Thanksgiving. So for me, it's just going to be me, my husband, our daughter, and probably his sister. So we're having a very small Thanksgiving, so we really don't need that many sides. And honestly, my husband, so he's Dominican, and they didn't really grow up on traditional Thanksgiving foods, so he really just likes rice and beans and meat all the time. He's not super into traditional Thanksgiving meals, so I have a lot of room for, I can pretty much make whatever on Thanksgiving and he doesn't care. So just look at what you have, the people you're having over, how many people you're having over, and see what you're working with. So if you are having a lot of people, then maybe you can get away with having a ton of sides, but for our small group, I wouldn't have more than maybe 3 sides. Probably just 1 dessert. Sometimes I get 2 just to have a little more variety, but generally I just make a pumpkin pie. And also try to stick to some of the favorites. So now is not the time to try out some weird recipe that you've been looking at and you're not sure about. Make sure you make things that you know people are gonna like. That one kind of got me into trouble because I like to try new recipes. And there was one Thanksgiving where I made stuffed acorn squash, and I had made it before and it was really good, but I was trying a new recipe and it was just not great. So maybe stick to some of those tried and true recipes that you have. Another thing to do is to mix store-bought stuff with homemade stuff. So you do not have to make every single thing from scratch. This might not even be the cheapest option to make it all from scratch. And honestly, if you're cooking for a lot of people or even a small group like me, you don't want to spend all Thanksgiving in the kitchen. One thing you can do is to check the ads. So it's quite possible that you might find some store-bought desserts on sale that are way cheaper than even buying ingredients for your own desserts. You can always find like frozen pies. You can find obviously fresh pumpkin pies and stuff like that. Look at the cost and then the cost it would take to make it. It might be cheaper and easier just to buy a store-made version of some of these desserts. And there is no shame in buying store-bought anything. Like I've definitely bought some store-bought things to help me on Thanksgiving. Another thing with recipes is to avoid specialty ingredients. So some of those things that you're going to use once and never again, it is so easy to just Google substitutes or even just pick another recipe if there's a lot of weird ingredients you're not going to normally use. There are also things like pumpkin pie spice. So that is just cinnamon, ginger, and cloves. So if you have cinnamon, ginger, and cloves, you don't need to buy pumpkin pie spice, or vice versa. So maybe you don't cook that much, you don't use cinnamon or garlic, or not garlic, cinnamon or ginger or cloves, and maybe it would be better for you to just buy a container of pumpkin pie spice. So that is all up to you and what you're used to cooking. Okay, so for the main event, I have all kinds of notes that I'm going to take a look at here. So you want to have a plan for your meal, but also be willing to adjust it based on sales. So if you get to the store and maybe, like I mentioned before, you were planning on making a pie from scratch, you get to the store and the pumpkin pies are marked down to $5, which that would be amazing, but the point is maybe they're marked down and it would be cheaper just to buy that. Similarly, things like sweet potatoes versus white potatoes, or maybe with your turkey. So with your turkey, the meat is the most expensive portion of your meal, obviously. So there are a lot of options you can have for the meat component. I mean, traditionally, of course, you're going to do a whole turkey bone-in with the legs and everything, but you can also get just a bone-in turkey breast. You can get a boneless turkey breast. You can get turkey legs. You could also just go for a whole chicken. If you don't want to pay for a turkey, you could go for a chicken. So you just need to look at the price per pound, and this can kind of go two ways. So if you're someone who has a very limited budget and you're looking at total cost, it's probably going to be better for you to buy something like a boneless turkey breast, because the overall cost is going to be less than a whole turkey. But generally the price per pound on something like that is going to be a little bit more. So if you are okay with a lot of leftovers and you're looking for the most bang for your buck, it's quite possible that the whole turkey is going to be your best bet. But again, it tends to be a little bit more expensive overall because it's so much more meat and such a heavier item because it has all the bones and everything in there. One thing that's great though about the really big turkeys is you are going to have a lot of leftovers. So if you're okay with doing a bunch of turkey leftovers, that can be a really good budget option. So of course you don't have to go traditional, like I said, if you want to do a chicken. If you are really going super budget, you could do something like chicken legs, or chicken quarters have a pretty low price per pound. You could do something like a meatless meal or just a general fall meal. I know there's so many fall soups or fall grain bowls like quinoa and sweet potatoes and cranberries and just all these fall flavors. You could do a stuffed squash, like I mentioned, I did the one year, but make sure you check reviews and see how those are. Maybe do a test run if you're making it for a lot of people so that it's a good recipe. You could do a pumpkin curry. I've seen some of those pop up and those look really good. That would be a good meatless option as well. A fall risotto, so like butternut squash risotto or something like that. And turkey pot pie would be another easy one. You could even do like a pot pie casserole type of deal. So yeah, there are a lot of non-traditional options. One thing I look at once fall hits, I love all the fall meals, of course. So I look on Pinterest for fall recipes or fall meals, fall dinners, and you will find so many different options. And just some ideas out there for cheap sides. So things like root vegetables are always very cheap. Sweet potatoes, whole potatoes, carrots, parsnips, if you want an alternative to carrots, are really good. Basically just tastes like a carrot, but it's white. Box stuffing can be pretty reasonable. Green beans, corn, rolls. Or if you don't want to do rolls, you could literally just do toast. I mean, who doesn't like toast? So just buy a loaf of bread and make some toast. All right, so the fourth thing as far as having your budget Thanksgiving is to have a plan for leftovers, because as I mentioned, you will probably have a lot of leftovers. And if you're like me, where most of your family doesn't even care for Thanksgiving food, which is so weird to me, I can't believe people don't really like Thanksgiving food. But if you're someone like me, I am the only one usually eating the leftovers. So I don't want to get bored of what I'm eating, so I like to have some options of what to make. So for me, a lot of times I actually just eat the leftovers as is because I do really love Thanksgiving food. So you could do like a Thanksgiving bowl. So put your mashed potatoes and your sides and your turkey all in a bowl and just eat it together like that. You could do an open-faced sandwich. I remember when I worked at a hospital a long time ago, there was a dish called a turkey hot shot. So it's basically a piece of bread with turkey on it and mashed potatoes, and it was all covered in gravy, and it was so good. So you could do something like that. You could do turkey soup or stew, pot pie, turkey salad, turkey fried rice was one that I found that sounded kind of interesting, turkey sandwich, turkey shepherd's pie. I mean, there are just endless options for what you can do with the turkey in particular. Another thing would be to store the components separately. So your turkey, your potatoes, your sides, your gravy, store everything separately so that you can use them in different dishes for the leftovers. Also, turkey and gravy freeze really well, so it's always possible to just freeze some of your turkey and gravy also. So the next thing is an option if you have a lot of people that you're inviting. You could actually just do a Thanksgiving potluck. I know my family, we didn't do like a traditional potluck, but it was pretty common for people to bring a dessert or drinks or a bag of rolls or something, like just to help out the host. So if you are in that situation, you could have people bring desserts, drinks, maybe a side, maybe do a full potluck. If you're drinking alcohol, have people bring a bottle of wine, something like that. Anything you can do to just kind of offset some of that cost and some of the stress of cooking, and usually people are more than willing to help you out and bring a dish. And then finally, the last tip, this is not for everyone, but you could also just wait until after Thanksgiving to have your Thanksgiving meal. So instead of doing it on Thanksgiving Day, maybe have it Thanksgiving weekend, because a lot of stores will drastically mark down the price of things like turkeys, pumpkin pies they have left over. A lot of those Thanksgiving foods will get marked down a lot the weekend after Thanksgiving, but you also have to deal with the stress of going to the store during Black Friday and Thanksgiving weekend, which I am not a fan of. So, and also I like doing everything Thanksgiving Day. So like I said, this isn't for everyone, but if you're someone, maybe you have to work or you have another situation, maybe you're okay with waiting. You could most likely get a better deal if you wait until that weekend. But if you can't wait until after Thanksgiving, it is nice that a lot of stores do pre-Thanksgiving sales. So this is one thing to watch for too. Basically starting now with watching this video, start looking for things like canned pumpkin, canned cranberry sauce, frozen foods, just anything you can start to stock up on now. I remember last year I found a cheesecake that was marked down a lot, and I just stuck it in the freezer until Thanksgiving. So just keep an eye out for things like that you can buy in advance, and it will kind of lessen the cost down the road. So this video was actually quite a bit shorter than some of the other ones I do, but I just wanted to throw out some quick tips in case you are doing a Thanksgiving dinner and you were just freaking out and not sure what to do. But I also wanted to shout out my girl, Julia Pacheco. I absolutely love her channel. She does all kinds of budget foods and budget recipes. I get so many great ideas from her. I will link her below, but she recently did a Thanksgiving dinner video where she spent, I think it was $25, maybe $20. It was a very, very cheap Thanksgiving meal if you just want to get some ideas there. And I think last year she did the same thing. So if you want to just look up her channel and then Thanksgiving, then you will probably find some really good like specific recipes as well. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and comment, subscribe. Oh, and let me know how many people you're having for your Thanksgiving, because I know everyone is different. So just comment that below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.